Okay, so is believing a choice?
Yes.
Okay. Can you believe in Superman right now?
I mean, no, because he has stated multiple times, even the writers, he's a fictional character.
So you physically cannot, you're incapable of believing Superman exists, but you're saying it's a choice to believe Superman exists.
I'm sure there might be some different people.
Right. So if you had convincing evidence for Superman, then you would believe he exists. You would be convinced. But if you don't, then you can't believe he exists, right?
I guess.
Okay. So that's what we mean when we say belief is not a choice. Just like you are incapable of believing Superman exists, it's not that you're choosing not to. You literally can't. I literally can't choose to believe any gods exist, including your God.
There is a reason for you to believe God exists because there's no other explanation. Obviously, you're going to say that there's no evidence does not mean evidence, right?
Okay, so here's the thing, Charlie, is the mechanisms in your mind, the cognitive machinery that lead you to accept something as true or likely true or not, don't actually differentiate between a situation where there's disconfirmatory evidence or not, right? The parts of your brain that evaluate a proposition for whether you believe it or not are actually kind of agnostic about that particular thing, right? All that happens is that your brain evaluates a claim based on many, many different parameters, right? Based on the type of evidence, based on your own priors, based on all sorts of things, based on your emotional disposition, based on your biases, based on your motivated reasoning, based on your emotional needs or not need to believe certain things. All of these factors all combine, and you experience a sensation of being persuaded or of not being persuaded. Now, what you're trying to do is suggest that there's a significant difference between a situation where you know that it's not true because there's evidence, like you know that Superman was a comic and you understand how it was written, and a situation where there's an unknowableness about it, right? There's uncertainty in the equation. But the presence of uncertainty in the situation doesn't magically equip you with a switch to turn belief on. That isn't how belief works. It's just not how it works. I understand that it's how you want it to work, and I understand that it's how your theology needs it to work, because here's the bottom line, Charlie. Once you engage honestly and properly with what belief actually is, the moral logic of Christianity collapses because it's no longer able to legitimately criminalize non-belief. And there's no conceptual space left for honest non-belief. And that's why you have to hold to it's an act of rebellion. You could choose it, you're choosing not to, regardless of the fact that that doesn't bear up.
Okay, cool. So all I would bring up is that you don't have to believe to get into heaven.
Really? Is John 3:18 wrong?
So say hypothetically, John, you'd have lived a sinless life. God would not punish you and send you to hell if you live a sinless life and a great life.
So you can achieve salvation even if you don't accept that Christ died for your sins.
Yeah, if you don't, then you're just judged upon your sins, which everyone falls short of the glory of God. But technically, it's possible. It's technically possible.
Okay.
But the actuality is not.
But can we call out what's happening here? Because what you're alluding to is that everybody is a sinner, but everybody also has access to a special magic pardon, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
But the special magic pardon is only available to people who believe certain things.
Yeah.
And therefore, believing those things is the key you need to put in the lock and turn in order to gain access to the special magic pardon that stops you being toasted. That's a problem. That's a moral problem. Because if you're right, God has created a condition where the only possible way that people can achieve the special magic pardon is if they believe things that they are unable to believe. And that's immoral.
Nobody's able to believe anything.
Well, as I just demonstrated to you, you can't command belief at will. If you find something unconvincing, wanting it to be true doesn't cause you to believe it.
John, are you saying it isn't physically impossible for certain people to believe without evidence?
No.
What are you saying?
If that's what you think I've said, then you have misunderstood my position. I'm saying that it is impossible for anybody to believe anything if they're not convinced it's true.
Yeah.
Right? So then the question then becomes, can you decide to be convinced that something's true? Now, your position, which is,
You
if I
can
may
definitely
say,
believe
slightly
something like that.
ridiculous,
It's true.
is that you can think of something that you don't find convincing and then just decide to start finding it convincing.
You have to decide it's true, okay? Which you have to believe without the facts.
Charlie, here's the problem with what you're saying. If you're saying that you can just switch belief on and off at will, you can just decide to believe whatever you like by just declaring it, then I'm going to argue that one of two things is happening. Either you have a serious mental illness, or you're getting confused between declaring a belief and saying the words and actually internally genuinely being convinced that that is true. And I'm going to suggest, I don't think that you're seriously mentally ill, so I'm going to suggest it's more likely to be the latter, where you're getting confused between a declaration of belief and an internal condition of being persuaded. One is under your control. You can say whatever words you want. The other one only happens if you genuinely find it convincing.
Okay, I guess you can't choose to believe in...
Right.
Wait, no, hold on. Kind of a hard argument.
Just think about it. Just think about it.
I'm thinking. The cogs are turning.
Okay, here's another thing to make your cogs turn, right? If I say to you, I think that belief is involuntary, and you disagree with me, are you able to just choose to agree with me and start believing that belief is involuntary?
No.
You're not able to, right?
No.
And the reason you're not is because I haven't convinced you, right? Let's say I'm a really poor communicator and I'm not good at putting my views across. And so I'm not able to persuade you. That feeling of being unpersuaded and not being able to take my claim as true is the thing I'm talking about. It's an inability to believe something because you're not persuaded of it. Now, in the case of Superman, you're not able to start believing in Superman because all the evidence against Superman stops your brain tipping into being persuaded, right? In the case of Jesus, for me, other reasons, the lack of evidence for me, how poor all the arguments I've heard, how implausible the claims are, all of these things are just a barrier for me to being convinced by those claims. And so unless that changes, belief is impossible for me. Now, if that were to change, then at that point, I'd have no choice but to believe, because I will have become persuaded and belief will happen to me, and that'll be it. Belief will then be...
Belief isn't a choice then.
Correct. Good on you for reaching that conclusion. So I applaud you for listening to it with an open mind, because it's really, really important, Charlie. It's really, really important to get this. Because once you do, if you can engage with belief honestly, you will look at it differently, and it may make you contemplate the requirements for salvation differently too.
It's definitely a very thought-provoking argument.
I do appreciate you coming at this in good faith, Charlie. I really do. So good for you for engaging in that way. Appreciate it. And
it was a good conversation. I'm sure I'll be up here again.
Hope so.
I'll see
Thanks,
you
Charlie. Take care. Thanks.
You too. Bye.